involved with RSN for nearly 15 years. Support from someone who's been there makes all the difference.
Hey David, what are you listening to?
Kidney Talk, an online radio podcast that talks about kidney disease and the prevention of it.
Oh, cool. Where can I find that?
Oh, you can download it on iHeartRadio, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.
Oh, nice. I'll definitely have to download that.
Shout out to Renal Support Network, the annual Renal Support Network essay contest. I won the Renal Support Network contest last year, the Warrior, and we are all warriors. So thank you. Keep on doing all that you do, and be happy and healthy and keep the hope. Thank you, Renal Support Network. Woohoo!
As a kidney transplant recipient, I find that having an actual publication like Kidney Talk is an invaluable resource for any kidney warrior at any stage.
RSN keeps me informed of kidney advocacy issues so my voice can be heard.
I'm really looking forward to the prom this year and meeting people who are just like me. Dressing up is super fun and all the activities are amazing. Can't wait to see you there.
Hi, I've been participating in the Renal Support Network 30-minute fitness Zoom classes. Not only have I lost 15 pounds, but I can also strike a yoga pose like this.
When I created Renal Support Network back in 1993, I had no idea the impact that I would have among my peers. An illness is too demanding when you don't have hope, and peer support, education, and knowledge are crucial to our survival. We have a great week planned with some incredible speakers, great information for you to share, learn, so we can survive and thrive with this illness. It's imperative. So stay tuned. We're going to have a great event, and a shout out to our corporate mission partners for making this happen. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Thank you for joining us. It's my pleasure to introduce Carla Ulbrich. Now your sign is backwards. It was fine the other day.
Oh, all right. I have two versions.
Oh, that's great. So
because the camera flips it sometimes and sometimes it doesn't.
You can learn more about Carla and her songs, and she's the Al Yankovic of chronic illness. Welcome, Carla Ulbrich.
Thank you. Wait a minute. Yay, since we can't hear you guys. All right. Are you having any fun? What you getting out of living? What good is what you've got if you're not having any fun? Are you having any laughs? Are you getting any loving? If other people do, so can you have a little fun? After the honey's in the comb, the little bees go out and play. Even the old gray mare down home has gotta have hay. Hey, better have a little fun. You ain't gonna live forever. Before you're old and gray, still okay. Have a little fun, hun. Have yourself some fun. Why do you work and slave and save? Life is full of ifs and buts. You know the squirrels, they save and save. And what do they got? Nuts. Better have a little fun. You ain't gonna live forever. You say you're old and gray, that's still okay. Have yourself some fun, hon. Have a little fun. Oh, have a little fun. I borrowed that song. I didn't write that particular song, but I wanted to start with that today because I've been hanging around on the RSN Hope Week. I was here Tuesday doing some songs, but then I watched everyone else, and I watched people on Wednesday, and I watched a little bit on Thursday. And sometimes the information, you get opinions that seem to conflict with each other. You know, people will tell you start dialysis as early as possible. Other people say put it off as long as possible. And you get sometimes conflicting information on diets. But there's one thread that every speaker seems to have in common, which is the importance of participating in your health and daring to dream and to hope and to reach for those dreams and to enjoy your life. Because all these things that the doctors and the medications are doing for us, it's all a second chance. It's a chance to really live again. And for me, it was a real wake-up call. I got sick when I was about, it's hard to say because it took 2.5 years to get diagnosed, but it was in 1990. I was fresh out of college, and that's when I started getting sick. And it felt like I really just, you know, I was supposed to be leaving the nest and going out on my own, and plop, fell right on the ground, right? But eventually it became a second chance for me to rebuild my life from the bottom up, because you do find sometimes that some of the people you thought were friends are not necessarily there for you in the hard times. But then you find out some people really stand up and surprise you and show you a side of themselves that's just wonderful that you didn't even know about as well. So for me, it wasn't immediate. It wasn't like, oh, I'm sick. Well, let me put my life together. I did grieve. But I want to share some, one of my ridiculous songs with you it's about reclaiming your power in a very small way. I think anyone with kidney disease knows about the importance of a good phlebotomist. They are worth their weight in gold. And it's such a big difference when you get someone who is really, really just artful and really good at finding a vein on the first try. And then when you get someone who has to try multiple times. So this is about that. There we go. Another borrowed song, but I wrote the words after many uncomfortable experiences with needles. I needed blood. They give it intravenously. After 4 tries, I told them to give up on me. They sent in someone else, but they were only student nurses. They need to practice somewhere else. Don't use my arms to rehearse it. I have found I need the best, 'cause my veins are small. You know what that's like. You work in pediatrics. Yes, it's true. I am happy to be stuck by you. Yes, it's true. I'm so happy to be stuck by you, 'cause I can see that you know how to start an IV. Okay, I'll go a long way for a joke in case that's not obvious. But I want to share something with you that I eventually learned, that you can take control of this. And my rule is 2 sticks and you're out. If you don't get it on the second try, I have the right to ask to please send someone else in, because folks who are trying to get a vein, they're human beings and they get performance anxiety. And after 2 tries, it becomes even harder for them to succeed. And often I ask especially for a phlebotomist as opposed to a doctor or a nurse, because my veins are small and they're difficult. And I also ask for, if they're just doing blood tests, I'll ask for a butterfly needle. Many of you are probably familiar with this. It's the smallest needle. It's what they use on kids. And so it's just a small way, but it makes a big difference in your day if you're able to ask for the best care. So I want to encourage you to take control in that way. And a little something I learned that I wanted to share with you. All right. Stuck with you. Happy to be stuck with you. Woo! All right. I wanted to share some things about humor today because that's how I opened my presentation. Are you having any fun? And one of the things I had to learn to do was to be able to find humor in my situation. And I shared on Tuesday that the secret of comedy, the formula for comedy, which is known among all stand-up comics and other types of comedians, is comedy equals tragedy plus time. Or as I like to sort of rephrase it, comedy equals pain plus distance. So one of the main ingredients of something being funny is pain. So we have half of what we need, right? Now we just need to find the distance. Sometimes you can't find the humor, and that's okay because it's too soon or it's too painful. But some of the smaller indignities that happen, like I spent a whole summer where my only pair of shoes that I could wear was a pair of slippers, and not nice bedroom slippers. The only things I could get my feet into because they were so swollen because I had congestive heart failure. This was in 2002. My feet were so big and swollen that the only thing I could wear, and I think this trend has gone out of style, I really hope so, were those giant poofy slippers. It looked like I was wearing two sponges, and they had eyes on them, which scared the cat. So they were like Snoopy slippers. They were gigantic. And I was leaving the doctor one day. I was living in South Florida at the time. And in the summer, there are thunderstorms almost every afternoon, like clockwork, 2 or 3 o'clock. Clouds roll in, skies open up. And of course, as I was leaving the doctor, that's when the sky was opening up. And because I couldn't find a parking space anywhere near the door, I had to walk across the parking lot in my giant slippers in the pouring rain. And at the time, I had a cane. I was walking very slowly. So my entire trip was... And I thought, you know what? I just have to laugh at this because it's so ridiculous. If I don't laugh, I'm going to throttle somebody. So I found some humor in that. Another time that I found some humor was during my recovery. I had to wear a wig because both with lupus and with prednisone, which is one of the many things I was on. I was also on chemo briefly. You lose your hair. So I didn't have to wear a wig, but I chose to wear a wig. And I didn't get a particularly fancy wig because, I paid for it. So maybe if insurance had paid for it, I would have gotten something nicer. But I was at a folk festival, and I was standing around with a bunch of my friends, and we were cutting up and laughing with each other and just tossing around jokes. And you know how sometimes when you're laughing, you lean over to somebody like, ha ha, that was funny, wasn't it? Well, I leaned over to my friend, Michael, and right then he moved. He just happened to move right when I leaned over, and I fell over and my wig fell off. I was so humiliated, but everybody came over to check on me to make sure I was okay. And because I got that compassion, I was able to laugh and go, you know what? I can now say I have literally laughed my head off. So it's just a little bit of what I wanted to share with trying to, if you can laugh at yourself, trust me, you'll never run out of material because human beings are just funny. Another thing that happens with kidney patients, you're probably all aware of this, is sometimes you lose a lot of weight. Sometimes you gain a lot of weight, especially on prednisone, but sometimes you lose a lot of weight. And there was a point where I was actually too thin. I never get sympathy from my fellow women for being too thin, though. I don't understand that. But when I was too thin, it was very uncomfortable to sit down for any period of time because it was like I was sitting directly on my tailbone. So I wrote a parody of one of my own songs. I was just wondering, hypothetically, what would you do? Theoretically, if something should happen accidentally or medically, what if your butt was gone? If sitting in a wooden chair felt like tax and you found you had nothing to hold up your slacks because instead of a butt now you just had a crack, something would have to be done. Would you write Dear Abby for advice in a letter? Put a cushion in your chair to make it feel better. Try to fatten up with brie and cheddar. What if your butt was gone? If your butt disappeared without a trace and everyone looked all over the place, why do you have that look on your face? Hey, it could happen to you. If that booty, the tootie, that sweet derriere were now inexplicably no longer there, how soon would you miss it? How much would you care? What do you think you would do? Would you call me up? Would you fall to pieces? Would you make it the topic of your doctoral thesis? Try to go out and find a prosthesis. What if your butt was gone? They make them, you know, the butt prosthesis. They were very, very popular for a while there. I got mine at Halloween Spirit. It's where I get all my medical devices. Halloween Spirit. A butt, as you know, could be curvy or flat, dimpled or pimpled, skinny or fat, just like an opinion. Everyone's got one, but what if your butt was suddenly not one? If something should happen, hypothetically, what would you do? Theoretically, if something should happen accidentally or medically, what if your butt was gone? Would you call me up? Would you start confiding how you tried to make it grow with fluorescent lighting? How you had to give up horseback riding? What if your butt was gone? Would you realize there's a good selection shopping for clothes in the children's section? Go to your closet, make a commotion, take on your pants and throw them in the ocean. All right, it's a sing-along. I can't hear you, but sing along. Does your butt hang low? Does it wobble to and fro? Can you tie it in a knot? Can you tie it in a bow? Can you sling it over your shoulder like a continental soldier? What if your butt was gone? Okay. So one of the things that I did, again, by reclaiming what little bit of power I had over my life and my well-being, which sometimes is more than you think, I brought a picture of my healthy self to my doctors, because the doctors, in 2002, I moved to Florida, and I had all new doctors, and none of them had ever seen me healthy. They only saw pale, anemic, 90-pound person on 9 drugs with anemia, kidney failure, congestive heart failure, neuropathy, and everything, and having had a stroke. And so it was hard for them to imagine me not wearing giant Snoopy slippers and a hospital gown and a $40 wig. And I wanted them to see what I really looked like so that they could get on the same page with me and imagine with me. Some of the doctors responded really well to it and some of them didn't, but I had a bunch of copies of myself playing guitar on stage and laughing and having a good time. And I'm like, this is what I want to get back to. This is my goal. This is my dream. I want to reclaim this. And some of them put the picture in my chart. And I thought that was amazing. And I really appreciated their getting on board with me. One thing I've come to realize over 30 years now of dealing with an autoimmune disease that at times has brought me to the brink of death is I am not my disease. Not only am I not a disease, I'm not a body. I just live in a body, right? I look different all the time. My hair falls out, my hair comes back curly, and then it straightens out, and my face blows up in a big moon face, and then it goes back to normal. But it's hard on my self-esteem. It's hard in feeling self-conscious in social situations, but I came to realize I occupy this body and it's my duty to take care of it, but it's not who I am. It's where I live, right? So I wanted to share that with you because it's important to take care of the soul, not just the body. It's not just about medications and dialysis and transplants, but it's also taking care of our soul. I have a little something. I wrote this book. It came out about 9 years ago. And I wanted to share something from it. I wrote the book that I wish someone had handed me in 1993 when I got diagnosed. And this chapter is a very short chapter. It's called What's Free? Here's a lesson from Kung Fu. I don't really do Kung Fu, but I do a little bit. That translates into dealing with illness. What's free? Now, I don't mean who's giving away free drug samples. I mean, when it seems like you're pinned down by your opponent, what's free to fight back with? Now, granted, I don't have a lot of martial arts experience, but it seems to me if someone's got you in a headlock with the what's free mindset, you can think, hey, his arms are busy holding my head, but my hands are free. I could punch him in the kidney. Oh no, not the kidney. Pull his leg hair, give him a wedgie, grab him in the crotch. He would let go of your head at some point. I love this lesson because it helps refocus your seeming limitations to whatever possibilities might still be open. You start to brainstorm and get really creative. It's a great kickstart to getting into a solution-oriented frame of mind. It's easy to say, be solution-oriented, but how do you start doing that? And I think it could be by asking, what's free? Several years back, I was watching an infomercial for Richard Simmons, who I love. Go ahead and laugh at me. I love Richard Simmons. I've even met Richard Simmons. But his message is very simple. Get moving. The infomercial was filled with testimonials of folks who had lost weight, some of them 100 pounds or more. But what really grabbed me was the girl in the wheelchair. I don't remember why she was in a wheelchair, but I do remember that she had been there for years, and she was probably always going to be in a wheelchair. And she got Richard Simmons' exercise videos and exercised in her wheelchair. She didn't wait for Richard to make a video especially for someone in a wheelchair, nor did she say, everyone in the video is walking and kicking and I can't do that. Instead, she said, what's free? And she moved her upper body and she sweated and she got stronger and she lost weight. And I thought, wow, if she can do that, I can do that. When my legs were too weak to walk after I had a stroke, what was free? My arms were getting pretty strong from dragging the rest of me around with no help from my legs. I could swim really well with those strong arms, and eventually I got back the strength in my legs. I also lost the strength in my left hand, but I'm right-handed, so I could still write. I also still had a sense of humor, so I wrote parodies, taking existing songs and writing new lyrics. All the songs were humorous and about irritating medical stuff I was dealing with, prednisone, sitting in the waiting room, on the commode again, what if your butt was gone? I ended up with an entire CD of humorous songs called Sick Humor. And it was cathartic. Anytime a doctor made me mad, I'd write a song. Had a lot of songs about doctors. Instead of staying trapped by my limitations, I kept saying, what's free? And I'd like to say, you know, I read Bernie Siegel, big fan of Bernie Siegel. He has a book called Love, Medicine, and Miracles, and I've read it about 6 times, and I keep buying copies and giving them to other people. And one thing he points out in his book is that our medical system looks at dying as a failure, but it's not. We're all going to end up there one day. So, does that mean everybody fails? Of course not. And getting an illness is not a personal failure. The real failure and the real tragedy is not living while you're alive. And that's where it's already talked about how we get a second chance with all these treatments. And so let's live our dreams. Let's dare to dream, dare to hope. This is Hope Week, and that's what it's all about. I've learned to love and respect my kidneys instead of resenting them for needing so much care. And I'm just going to do one more song because I see the time is running short and I don't want to throw off the schedule for the rest of the day. So I'm going to do one more song, but I first
Carla,
want to share
can you
with
do 2 songs or?
Sure.
We have a little extra time this morning.
Oh, okay, sure. I just didn't want to throw off your schedule. All right, I'm going to do something really dumb. I like to do dumb things. This was the one that kicked it all off when I couldn't play. My left hand just couldn't, it had neuropathy and I could not press the strings. It hurt so much. But somebody gave me a ukulele. And the ukulele is very, very easy to play. And it has nylon strings instead of metal strings, so it doesn't bite into your fingers so much. And he loaned me a book called Fun with the Ukulele, and it was the first song in it was an old folk tune called Little Brown Jug. I don't know if y'all remember that, but it's an old folk tune about Little Brown Jug that was full of gin or moonshine or something. And it goes, ha ha ha, he he he, little brown jug, how I love thee. Well, I was singing that, but at the same time, I was on diuretics and wearing compression hose, so I was running to the bathroom every 10 minutes, and I was doing the creatinine clearance test. How many of you have done the creatinine clearance test? Probably almost everybody here. Well, all I could say is this song was not my fault. I was practicing Little Brown Jug, and then running to the bathroom and peeing and a little brown jug. The song just happened. It's not my fault. My kidney function has been low. Some days I just don't have to go. The doctors have these tests they run, and there's one test that's lots of fun. Ha ha ha, he he he, little brown jug, how I love thee. 24 hours collecting my pee in a little brown jug, how I love thee. And here's the thing I was always afraid would happen. I tried to do as I was told. They said I had to keep it cold in the fridge. I didn't think a friend would come and take a drink. Oh my God. Oh dear Lord, he didn't see that the little brown jug was full of pee. What do I say? Say Loppy, little brown jug, how I love thee. Lori will never ask me to do 2 songs again. Okay, cured myself of that. How many of you have heard of the Serenity Prayer? It's something I learned along the way, and I found it really super helpful because, you know, we go through these times when we have some fight in us, and then times when we feel defeated, and it's hard to pick your battles because there's so many battles to be fought. But I love the Serenity Prayer because it helps me parse it out, and I'll share it with you all, and happy to type it in the chat in case you haven't heard it. I think it's super empowering and does help with serenity. God or universe, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Sometimes I had to pray that multiple times in a day. Just take a deep breath and go, you know, there are things I can change and there are things I cannot change. Deepak Chopra, I saw him on TV once. Well, I've seen him a bunch of times, but it's one particular time he said something that really stuck with me. It was probably 15 years ago. He said, accept the diagnosis, but not necessarily the prognosis, right? We need to know what's wrong so we can deal with it. But doctors they don't have a crystal ball. They don't know, okay, we've got 5 years until we need a transplant. I was told that twice. I still have my kidneys. So they don't know for sure. They just have statistics and educated guesses. But the X factor is the patient and their state of mind and their hope and the choices they make and how well they take care of themselves. We have a lot of influence on our own well-being. So I encourage you to have hope, and I'm sure you all know this last song. Let me just untangle. Sorry, I'm untangling myself from the guitar. Oh, there's my dog. All right, didn't break anything. Classic song, you guys. Dance in your chair if you like. At first I was afraid, I was petrified, kept thinking I could never live with this disease inside. But then I spent so many nights thinking, wait, that could be wrong, and I grew strong. And I learned how to get along, and now I'm back. I claimed my space. I still got things to do, and I still got things to say. When I look into the mirror now, it's courage that I see. I may have CKD, but CKD does not have me. Come on, let's go. Hey, world, hello. I'm still around now, and I'm not frightened anymore. When I got that diagnosis, and it could not be denied. Did you think I'd crumble? Did you think I'd lay down and die? Oh, no, not I. I will survive. As long as I've got love and hope, I know I'll be alive. I've got all my life to live, and I've got all my love to give, and I will survive. I will survive. Hey, hey. You guys, it has been such an honor to be part of RSN Hope Week, and I want to thank Lori and Suzette and everyone else at RSN for putting this together so we can share great ideas together. It took all the strength I had not to fall apart. Kept trying hard to mend the pieces of my broken heart. And I spent oh so many nights just feeling sorry for myself. I used to cry, but now I hold my head up high and you see me, somebody new. I'm not that chained up passive person still afraid and blue. Now I change the things I can and accept those that must be. I have learned to love myself and stick with people who love me. Come on, let's go. Hey world, hello. I'm still around now, and I'm not frightened anymore. When I got that diagnosis and it could not be denied, did you think I'd crumble? Did you think I'd lay down and die? Oh no, not I will survive. As long as I've got love and hope, I know I'll stay alive. I've got all my life to live. I've got all my love to give, and I will survive. I will survive. Hey, hey. Comes the dance break, you guys. All right. I'm looking forward to another day. The programming today has me so excited. I'm really looking forward to learning about stress and anxiety. I have certainly not mastered everything, and I know I've got some things to learn, and I'm looking forward to learning them. If you'd like to visit me at carlau.com, get on my mailing list. My book is available there, and my music is available there. And I just thank you guys for your time and attention, and I wish you all the best and encourage you to take care of yourselves. Thanks so much.
So, speaking of funny and Carla's sense of humor, I wonder who was able to catch Be Positive last night for their second episode. Because I have a great story to share. I have a friend who has found herself back on the transplant list again. And because of that show, someone messaged her last night and wants to be tested.
Awesome.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool. So we're going to go ahead.
And a shout out to our corporate mission partners for making this happen.